Well, hello, everybody. This is the president of your 2023-2024 Gold Chapter Beta Alpha Psi New Sigma Chapter, Jack Mitchell, at your service. So you may be wondering, why are you not seeing the meeting for this week? Well, it happened again. So I forgot to include the announcements that I was supposed to make at the end of the meeting. And the reason being is because we went way over the time limit we had for our meeting. And I didn't really want to hold everyone back. So I figured I'm going to record this and that you guys are going to watch this, even though I will post it on Monday on Web Campus, which everybody should be looking at, by the way. And also, during the last 5 minutes of the meeting, our presenter's laptop died. I am not making this up. That the laptop died. So now I am going to have to bring a power strip every time we have a meeting to prevent that from happening. But do not worry, 95% of that meeting was recorded. We do have it, and you will be watching that today. But before that, some reminders and announcements we're going to bring on our end. Before I get to that, I just want to say thank you to everybody who attended the career fair this Tuesday. For what I heard from our members, from our candidates, and even from other students, the career fair was an absolute success. We were able to connect with a couple employers for accounting and finance firms, and you may never know, they might be coming to speak to us in the spring. I always say this, anything can happen at Beta Alpha Psi New Sigma Chapter. Anything can happen. So again, thank you to those employers who were able to take time out of their day to come speak to us and just to be there. It's a good thing. Also, I want to thank everyone for showing up to the club fair on Forum campus yesterday. We met a lot of great students. Again, we want you guys to keep up the great work. And also, if you are still interested in joining Beta Alpha Psi, which brings me again to my next point, candidacy applications, they are due next Wednesday. Hard deadline. If they are not brought in before that, it will not be accepted. It is a hard deadline. So please submit them in on time, because we do not want you guys to miss out on this. And also, speaking about that, as regards to the waived fees deal, all 10 spots have been taken for that. However, after doing some calculations on my end, we still have a little bit of money left to give, I believe, at least 3 or 4 more students who are eligible to actually go out for BAP candidacy. So if you are still interested in going out for Beta Alpha Psi semester, my advice is take advantage of it while this deal's going down, because this is our bonus waived fees deal where we're adding 3 to 4 more eligible students who want to go out for candidacy. Their application fees will be waived off, just like the first 10 students that got their fees waived off. It's the same spiel. So please, if you need to find the application form, it is on our web campus organization page. It is also on our link tree on all of our social media platforms. And it is also on our Wix website. So please, they're all there. So please, please, please. One thing I will mention, last night I was able to meet with the AI team in regards of building our AI tutor bot. I will say this is a bright young group here, and I am super excited to see what these guys will be working on. We have 2 students at Metro who will be doing this as well, along with 8 other students here at Forum. So, I will be sitting on all these meetings, just learning about what these guys are doing, because believe me, I have no coding experience. I have nothing. And I just want to get my hands dirty and just, learn about this, because I feel like this would be a great, experience, not only for me, but for our e-board and also our members, but yeah, so in reference to next week, so there will be no new Sigma chapter meeting next week. There will be none. Consider it an off week, or what I like to call a bye week in football, if anyone gets American football. So You might be wondering, well, okay, it's good. However, for those who are candidates and members, if you need to make up your attendance, we have given you some help here, because this week we'll be offering not one, not two, but four attendance makeup events that you guys can go to and then write the reflection paper on and submit on Web Campus, and it will basically make up for one of the missed attendances you missed at one of our Nu Sigma chapter meetings. There will be two on Tuesday, the 24th, one on the 25th on Wednesday, and then one on the 27th on that Friday. And I will explain to you guys all about them right now. So the first one, the 24th, the AICPA will be holding their Q&A with the CPA series. It'll be the day in the life of a content creator and business advisor. And just on a separate note, I never would think that they would have enough time to be a content creator and business advisor at the same time. That's just my opinion. The event will be held from 2 to 2:30 p.m. This will be, again, on Zoom. As a disclaimer, in order to sign up for this event, you need to have an AICPA student membership. If you would like to learn more on how to do that, go to our Web Campus page, go to our content section. The directions are all there on how to sign up. It is completely free, so please take advantage of it. I will get to the second one in a minute, but going to Wednesday, the 25th, so the CFA Institute will be hosting a CFA program student information webinar. So finance majors for BAP, you guys, this is geared towards you. It will be held from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. I think we did put on Web Campus that you need to sign up for the live session, not the recording. If we do find out that you did go to the recording and not the live session, we will not count it, because we want you to be there at the time that they're holding it. So please go to the live session one. The registration link, which will be posted on Monday on Web Campus, will contain all the registration links and all other good stuff. Finally, on the 27th of September, on Friday, the NJCPA will be holding a webinar called Presenting with Impact. This will be held from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So if you do not want to wake up early for this attendance makeup event, I get it. That's totally fine. Again, we're offering this up to everybody. So again, for that one as well, you do need a NJCPA student membership. Please go to Web Campus to find out on how to sign up for a free NJCPA student membership. It is free. Please take advantage of these opportunities we're giving you guys, from not only for BAP's sake, but also on a professional level. And then finally, this I have been looking forward to all semester, and it is finally going to be happening. So, I wonder, I want to show this off. I don't want to explain it. Let's see. There you go. All right. So Beta Alpha Psi Nu Sigma chapter, we have been invited to attend an AAB career panel joint meeting. This will be a multi-chapter crossover event. This will be co-hosted by not only us, but also Omicron Alpha's chapter over at Stone and Brook University. And I will just make note of this, for that meeting only, you will need to use their Zoom link, not ours. So again, I really do not want anybody to use our link for that Tuesday. So please go and use theirs. We will put the links on Web Campus on Monday, and obviously we do put them out on Web Campus as well in our content page. It will be held from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. virtually. For the chapters that will be co-hosting this event with us and with Stony Brook are going to be the following: Delta Pi chapter from Hofstra University, Alpha Gamma chapter from Baruch College, Kappa Zeta chapter from St. John's University, Theta Rho chapter from Binghamton University, Kappa Omicron chapter from Long Island University, and Mu chapter from New York University. And fun fact about the Mu chapter, they are probably one of the 3 oldest chapters in Beta Alpha Psi history. And if you think I'm lying, you can look it up on bap.org. You can look it up on there. It's there. So it's a huge deal to be a part of that group of chapters and for us to just be there. Now you probably are now wondering, well, who's going to be speaking at this panel? I'm glad you asked about that. So for this panel, it is going to be some big firms, and trust me, it's going to be some big firms. For example, and you might remember some of these firms because either A, they've spoken to us this semester, or they might be speaking to us next or later down the line for the semester, or they might have presented in the past to us. So the firms that will be coming to speak to all of us on that night will be KPMG, one of the big four accounting firms in the world, who was our first speaker of this semester. And if you want to watch that meeting recording, go to our YouTube page and watch that. BDO, fun fact about that meeting, it was actually held right here where I'm recording this intro in the Bloomberg lab. So yeah, that was kind of pretty cool to do it there. PwC, again, another big four accounting firm in the world. They have spoken to us in past years. And finally, Colin Resnick, who will be speaking to us on November 20th. So look forward to that event. And believe me, I am looking forward to that as well. And I believe everyone should be. But that will be held on the 24th, Tuesday from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Again, for those who will be attending, who want to be attending all these attendance makeup events. As we stated throughout the semester, all of these attendance makeup events are optional to go to. They're not required, but they are optional if you want to go. In the case of the members and candidates here in BAP, if you do need to make up your attendance, then you might need to go to one of these to make them up, hit the requirement. And you guys know the drill on how that works. So please go and refer to our handbook, to the first meeting where we explain how those go. I do apologize in advance for not putting the with a meeting up earlier. I had some problems running with iMovie, so rest assured that this will be uploaded today, so that way you guys have enough time to submit them in. And speaking of that, for this meeting, if you're watching this and you are doing it for reflection papers, they will be due in 2 weeks, not next week. And the reason being is because we will be on an off week next week. So you will hand them in on October 2nd when we have the IRS come in. So just to reiterate, for anybody, for candidates and members who are going to be watching this for attendance makeup, to make up their attendance, the reflection papers will be due on October 2nd. October 2nd, not the 25th of September. Finally, tutoring is starting this week. That's right. We've had a weird 2 weeks to try to get this all figured out. But thankfully and mercifully, everything got squared away. So we are actually able to start tutoring. So I am going to read exactly from our head tutor just because I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. It will be on Fridays and Sundays from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. The Zoom link for the tutoring sessions will be on Web Campus. It will be literally one of the links that we have up there with announcements and discussion board. It will legit be right there. Also, it will be on our link tree if anybody does not find it. Again, we have also posted on our content page on our Web Campus org. It is also there, also stating what you need to do. If you forget on how tutoring works, please watch our first meeting, and also please look at the slides that we did for our first meeting a couple weeks ago so you guys know what is going on. And remember, for all candidates and members, 4 hours per academic semester, 8 for the academic year. My advice to everybody who's going out for candidacy, get them done during this first week. Trust me, that is what I did when I went out for candidacy. And believe me, I knocked out all 8. Because if you know you have a lot of stuff coming up next semester, you don't want to be worrying about this tutoring. So my advice is get it done early so that way you don't have to worry about it. So that is it. And then, yeah. So with that being said, I will be seeing you guys for 2 weeks. Unless if anyone's gonna be going to the career panel joint meeting, which I'll be going to along with the rest of our e-board. We'll be attending that meeting. But yeah, So with that being said, I think it's time to send you guys off to our Deloitte meeting, one of the big four accounting firms in the world. We do have the pleasure of having some of our former FDU alumni and also former Beta Alpha Psi alumni to have actually had the privilege of being interning there, but also returning at the full-time role. And just for giggles, I'm even drinking out of a Deloitte cup today, so I figured kind of a little reminder for me to say, hey, you got to film the intro video for this. So thanks, Brain, for that. So yeah, so if you guys are ready, I know I most certainly am ready. Let's get you guys off to the meeting.
And now, our feature presentation.
Now I got those technical difficulties out of the way. All right, hello everybody. We're back to another Beta Alpha Psi meeting. Today we have Deloitte, one of the big four accounting firms in the world. We have two FDU alumni, also BAP alumni, Rene Gonzalez and Emma Gaffney, to come and speak to us today. Again, please give them your undivided attention. Let's ask a lot of questions. And just a reminder, please stay after the meeting for a couple announcements regarding next week. And with that being said, Rene and Emma, take it away.
Didn't realize yours. All right, should be good now. 10 years. Oh, don't say that.
You spend a lot of time with me, even if it wasn't in class.
So my name is Rene Gonzalez. I'm a manager at Deloitte Tax.
My name is Emma Gaffney. I'm a tax consultant too, also at Deloitte Tax. Rene is also my manager. Small FDU world.
He's doing great. It's all good. So just a little background on myself. So I started here at FDU. I started in the 4+1 program for the master's in accounting. I ended up with a double major in accounting and finance, and then the master's in accounting. During that time, I started off accounting as at my dad's small firm. He's a CPA, and it's him and two other accountants who aren't CPAs. So that was my part-time summer job where I was like, oh, I kind of like this, I think I can do this. Had internships at Sobel & Co., Cohn Resnick, and then eventually Deloitte Tax in their credits and incentives group, which we'll kind of get into a little bit more later. And then from there, kind of just stayed there my whole way. When I first left school, or when I first got into the master's program, I wasn't certain if I wanted to do tax or audit, so I kind of did the master's in accounting. And then 6 years into a career into accounting, into tax, I was like, okay, I kind of like this. I think this is probably where I'm going to be. And then I came back to FDU for my master's in tax that I finished about a year ago. And the whole time I've been with Deloitte in the credits and incentives group, about a second year manager now in that group.
Hi guys. I started at FDU in 2018, so 6 years ago. Not as old as Rene, but I'm up there.
What's that supposed to mean?
So I also was in the 4+1 program. I had my bachelor's degree. It wasn't as impressive as Rene. I was just accounting, no double major, but did my undergrad in accounting, 4+1 program. So I finished my +1 year in May of 2023, so somewhat recently. While I was at FDU, I was super involved. I was in BAP. I was in Greek life. I played softball here. It's a little weird that I don't know people in the crowd anymore. That's how I know I'm getting a few years out. Hey, Rich. Our third presenter has arrived.
How are you guys?
But yeah, so I interned a couple different places. I interned at BASF across the street. I was in the tax department at Cohn Resnick, a few other small internships, and then I interned at Deloitte summer of 2022, so right after my undergrad. And now I've been with the firm for about 2.5 years. while I was in grad school here, I was also studying for the CPA. So if anyone has any questions about that, I'd feel totally comfortable answering all those questions at the end. But yeah, excited to be here today.
We've just done brief intro.
Yeah, I apologize for being a little late here, guys. My name is Guerriero. I went to FDU and TNEC on the TNEC campus. I have been at Deloitte for 2 years now. I'm audit and assurance employee. I think so. Both you guys are in tax, right? So I can give you some of the other side, some input on that. But yeah, I think, do you guys touch on anything in specifics or anything?
No, nothing yet. We've just done a little bit about ourselves so far.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll try to get with the flow of it as you guys are.
It's all good. So obviously, we have some slides on Deloitte and like career in tax and accounting and, all that stuff that we'll go over. But if any time you have any questions, just feel free to interrupt us or just have time for questions at the end. The slides aren't going to take us to full time. So, want to keep this open. Any questions you have, whatever you want to learn about accounting, tax, CPA exam, courses, whatever it may be, we're here. So for starters, a little bit about, Deloitte. Go to the next one. Where is it? So what is Deloitte? So obviously, if you're here, you're probably at least a little bit familiar with us. We are one of the big four audit accounting firms, and obviously nowadays management consulting probably is our biggest revenue driver. So at the end of the day, for you guys, it's the tax and the audit and the assurance that I would assume applies to most everyone. And here's an accounting major. Do we have any finance or MIS? Finance? Cool.
Maybe online, we might have some. We have some people at Metro.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Are they finance or accounting? Do you know that?
Yeah, no worries. So the slide here just kind of trying to show, well, it's large. There's a lot of us. Hundreds of thousands of employees all over the world. I think it was like 250,000 when I started. So seeing a 457 numbers there, pretty large. At the end, the core, more important part is that Deloitte essentially is organized into these like four businesses. The audit and assurance group. There's the management and consulting group. Risk and financial advisory. So that's very similar to that consulting group, but then also has much more of a finance focus to it. And then tax, you've all done your tax returns. If you've worked, hopefully you filed your taxes. Obviously corporations have much more complicated tax returns. We also do private wealth, but these are our four core businesses. So we'll get into, tax and audit ourselves here, and then maybe just do like a light touch on consulting and advisory, since, not as familiar with that, since it's not exactly where we reside, but we'll try and do a little best we can. But, Rich, being in audit and assurance, you mind giving us a little bit of overview of like what that's like, what you do day to day?
Yeah.
Maybe what group specifically you're in?
Yeah, absolutely. So since I started at Deloitte, I've been in the audit and insurance side, and obviously we have a bunch of categories here that we deal with. I've dealt a little bit on my engagement, just to give you some background. I'm on an aerospace and defense client. It's a large accelerated filer with the SEC, and that's
cool.
Yeah, sounds cool, right?
At least it sounds like it.
Yeah, definitely. I work a lot with my partner actually on the job. He's into sustainability, and he's a big ESG partner across the world. So he'll go and travel a lot and make a lot of presentations. So we do deal a lot with, for example, corporate sustainability directive in the EU. So some things that are kind of having a cascading impact on the United States. And obviously we touch on a lot of things on the audit of a financial statement for this large company. But just to give you some background about myself, I deal a lot with internal controls. It's an audit of a financial statement, and also we're doing internal control over financial reporting. So it's an integrated audit with you guys. And I don't know if everybody's an accounting major here, but just to kind of throw that lingo out there. But that's for a general view there. That's what I work on. And, you know, we have different type of audit insurance engagements that are done across many different industries. So it really depends on where you get placed or where you want to take your audit career if you were to get in this side. But, you know, the aerospace and defense industry is kind of niche. I mean, it's more a lot of government contracts, and my client is, you know, builds airplane parts. So pretty cool stuff. Still kind of the same job at the end of the day, but definitely cool to see a very large company internationally and see how that works and the different regulations and different laws that apply to them. So I could go on and on about the semantics here, but I don't want to, you know, go too crazy. You have a question? Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you too.
Cutting edge data analysis. Can you tell us more about?
Yeah. Yeah, so data analytics are a big drive. You know, obviously we use a lot of tools, and when I was in your class, we used Tableau a couple times and some different features. We have in-house programs. You know, for example, it's called Deloitte Omnia. Before I got to Deloitte, did some research on it, and now I've gotten to know kind of what exactly that is. But it's basically an in-house program used to bring together all parts of the audit and to connect people in a very real-time fashion. So that has a lot to do with our data analytics as well. So we use a lot of programs that kind of go hand in hand with our Omnia platform. So there's a big drive, obviously, to bring in data analytics to what we do on an everyday basis. You know, basically our visualizations are a big thing. So, you know, it's a program very similar to Tableau, but there's many different programs that Deloitte offers that other firms don't. And I could go into those, but just for the sake of time here, I'll give you the general background of that. But does that answer your question? Or?
So, and then I'm just going to ask some questions so we can kind of like highlight the differences between like audit and tax. So you focus essentially just on one client your whole time, right?
Yeah. So since I joined Deloitte, I've been on one client, and I've worked for this client 2 years now, and basically I've also done some counts or some inventory counts on the side, and a few other small engagements, some private engagements. But for the majority of my time, I've been on this one client, and you know, there's obviously a lot of work to go around when you're dealing with a large accelerated filer. So yeah, just.
And then like how often are you like at the client side?
So so basically how it works is every quarter we do a review, which is basically a mini audit, right? And we will go to the client during those review times. When we get a little bit busier. We'll go to the client maybe once or twice a week, meet with their corporate accounting team. You know, we ask them, we pepper them with questions. They don't like that as much, but you know, the auditor coming in there. But it's a fun time for me because I actually get like faced with these people on a daily basis, and you get to talk to many different business unit controllers with a lot of different subsidiaries of the company. And that's really our time to ask anything that, you know, appeals to us or that we want to understand further, and it's all relevant to our job and our documentation. So yeah, we'll go a couple times a week. When we're not busy, like on the off periods, we don't go in as much. So I'd say like it's really only quarterly where we're going in twice a week, and then we stay in our office. But a lot of teams in the office and a lot of other audit engagements, they really go in a lot to the client. So they'll actually go and have a spot with their client, wherever that may be, and they set up shop there, and they kind of become part of that company, you know, as you know, in a different way. But yeah, so it varies by team. So with audit, I don't know about tax as much. I know you guys kind of work more in a bunch of teams, so I can't speak to that. But
And then the last thing I'll ask is like, how does your busy season or busy seasons like compare to maybe like when you're slower, you know, like how long does it last? Like, what are the hours like?
yeah, so I mean, there's definitely busy times. I mean, with any job, you always get crunched down, and then there's that, you know, you got to hit some deadlines. But busy season at the end of the year for the audit takes place all year, and obviously, you know, you mix in those reviews that I was explaining every quarter. But at the end of the year, if you have a December 31st year end for your client, that's when the busy season will be. technically. So January to like mid-February is when we filed, or when the client filed the SEC their 10K. So that's that time period for those maybe like 6 to 8 weeks. It's longer days, you know, but the good thing about Deloitte is like you kind of can make your own schedule on that. You get your work done, and you know, if you don't want to work on Saturday, you can finish up on a Sunday, right? You kind of do it that way, and your team is very very helpful, and everybody definitely that I've worked with has been very caring, and they're always open to any type of way that you feel best to get your work done. So that's what I like most about working in this at this company. And it's just that everybody's kind of, the way that I always talk about it is that, you know, you guys have school projects, right? I was in your shoes not too long ago. It's basically like a big project, right? You're working with your team throughout the year, and you just gotta, everybody has a different way of getting there, but at the end of the day, we have to get the project done, and we all hold each other accountable, and that's what's kind of cool. It's an ongoing class project, so for better or for worse, but that's how I would put it. So
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
yeah.
Cool. So, I mean, there's a couple of examples here of like the way we serve our clients, but I think we've kind of covered them pretty well. So tax, Emma, you want to tell us a little bit about more tax?
So before we get into what Deloitte tax does, I think it's important because some of the students are probably still deciding if they want to apply for an audit internship or a tax internship. So everything that Rich just said is very indicative of the audit practice. There definitely is some overlap in terms of teaming and just organizational culture that trickles into the tax side as well. But somebody said this at a different campus presentation that I was at, and I think this was helpful for students to hear, that more so like in the actual content of the work that you're doing on the audit side, you're more serving the investors of a company, the shareholders of a company, to audit a company's financial statements. An audit can mean a lot of different things, but the biggest distinction I have heard people say, and that I like to hear, is that in audit, you're working for the investors, whereas in tax, we're working for the company to ultimately, through compliance and through consulting, to bring down their tax liability.
Mhm.
So we're more working for the client, whereas audit is working for the investors of a client. Is that pretty accurate, you think, Rich?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think-
Definitely. A lot of exposure to the everyday investor. So that's where the face of the 10K, and just to give you the financial statements is where the 10K is then given to the SEC. So we can go into those details later, but
Yeah, and obviously you can correct me anytime, but I know not everyone here is an accounting major or may not have taken their audit class, but at a high level, an audit is just a review of a financial statement, which then investors or lenders use that to make decisions on whether they want to invest in that company or whether they want to lend money to that company. So auditors are independent individuals or companies that come in to essentially, you know, verify that information on there is correct and that the company is not, you know, making any, you know, material mistakes or any lies or fraud to kind of give themselves a more favorable light.
yeah.
Right? Close
Yeah,
enough?
Yeah, that's right on the head. Yeah, so that's exactly what we're doing on a daily basis, definitely. And that's, yeah, we're working for the average investor. So trying to protect the exposure that they have to that. So looking at these statements, and you know, how do you know that what the company said? They said they made $20 million last year, but how do you know that that's true, right? Do we really know, or that we're kind of the guys that make sure that that's correct or that's accurate. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You usually find I don't need to explain what tax is. I think we're all familiar.
So basically what the tax service line looks like at Deloitte, where Rich is on one client and serves pretty much one industry, our service line in tax is broken into service offerings instead of just one type of client, or one client being. So we're broken into a bunch of different service lines underneath tax. These are just some examples. Business tax services, that's our compliance group that me and Rene actually sit under. A very small group underneath business tax services. The name of our group is Global Investment and Innovation Incentives. That is our group. We do primarily tax credits and incentives for companies. So where that differs from someone like Rich is he works on one company. We work on a lot of different companies and offer one product or service offering across a bunch of different types of companies.
I worked on 27 different clients in the last 12 months. So I imagine for you, that's like wild.
Give me anxiety. Thinking about that. Yeah, we definitely, it's a whole different world, but you know, we have our, we do have some engagements that some people, their manager level, kind of, they see different clients, but
Mhm.
I think tax through and through, right? Even at any level, it's always.
Yeah. Yeah, there'll be a lot more like, people in the main business tax service group might only have like 5 or 6, especially once you get to a higher level. But our group, we touch a lot more. So even within tax, there's a lot of variability, but nothing like this is your one.
Yeah.
I haven't counted, but I'm on a lot of projects with Rene, so I would have to estimate that mine's close to.
I would say so.
But that's just where we sit. Business tax services, some of the other offerings that we have, global employer services, international tax, I think speaks for itself. Transfer pricing, M&A, multi-state tax services. We have a legal group as well as a private wealth group that also sits within business tax services, but they wanted to separate it within this slide. So a lot of different types of tax that when you join tax, you get to pick which service line you would like to go into. Usually there's some type of event where you get to interview all the different service lines, hear what they do, rank your preferences, and you end up in one of them for either an internship or a full-time role. So you're seeing one part of a larger wheel instead of the entire wheel for someone in audit, I guess. Anything else you'd like to comment on this slide, Renee?
Nothing. I mean, I would just find like global employer services. It's like something that's like interesting, right? You always said you pay payroll taxes, but then if you hire people in a different company in a different country, you may not know what the payroll taxes are like in those countries, or vice versa. That's what global employer services is doing. It's helping you manage payroll taxes in jurisdictions that you may not be familiar with. Tax technology consulting is under tax because it's related to the tax work that our clients do, but they're not actually doing any tax work. What they're doing is actually helping implement software solutions at our clients to help their tax departments become more efficient. And then I know for sure within each of these groups, I mean, especially within business tax services, a lot of these groups have groups underneath them. So kind of like Emma alluded to, in business tax services, there's a group called National Federal Tax Services. And what that is a collection of 7 different like specialized groups, one of which is ours, the credits and incentives group. But there's also like a partnership solutions group. There's a financial tax accounting group. So, you can elect different methods on your tax. So that group essentially helps you figure out what methods are most beneficial and how to actually make those changes. So even after this high level overview of these groups, there's a lot more specialization that you can go into. But the way that everyone always likes to describe it is like business tax services is like the quarterback, that they're like the main generalist tax group. They do the high level work, and then they're the ones that then find out, oh, my client's going through a merger or an acquisition. Let me refer them to M&A. Or they have lots of like international subsidiaries. Let me refer them to the international group. They're doing research and development. Let me refer them to Rene and Emma to get a credit for that research and development tax.
There's a lot of overlap between these groups as well. We usually work within a larger engagement team outside of just our own. So like Rene was saying, our business tax services is usually the quarterback, but it is definitely a teaming effort cross-functionally. So a lot of my clients, we are also the service provider for their for all their state tax returns. So we work with the MTS team a lot. We also do their corporate tax returns. So we work with BTS for them as well. Same thing with international. So there's a lot of overlap in specialties that are outside of just your own. And Professor, you had a question?
Yeah, so you were talking about the credit services, is that a lobbying effort as well as, or do you solely work on existing projects that your clients bring you?
So we work on the existing work that our clients bring us. So most of our work now is related to like the research and development tax credit. So companies doing R&D in the US can get a tax credit for doing that work in the US. The whole point is to keep like science and technology jobs here. I would imagine somewhere there's someone who's lobbying for that type of stuff, but our group is just doing the like calculations and qualifications for our clients to then get those credits.
Then on this slide here, I think we just have some more examples of what these service lines offer. Global employment services, like Rene was saying, expat taxation, information reporting, tax planning, mergers and acquisitions, informing our clients with buy, sell side tax due diligence, multi-state, as we were saying, different tax events within the company's life cycle in terms of state and local taxes, private wealth, tax advisory and compliance for high net worth individuals and families. That's an
Emphasis on high net worth.
yeah.
These are like the rich people's rich people.
The 1%. So I think that's a pretty good overview of how our tax department functions.
Cool. So, I mean, just some notes on, what employment is like at Deloitte, and this kind of just goes across all of our business and service lines. Or actually, I don't know, maybe I'll take a step back and talk about just briefly consulting and our financial advisory groups. And because we just don't have slides specifically on those, but essentially over time through I guess for all of the big four, through the tax work that they've done, through the audit work that they've done, over time we became experts not just on our clients but our clients' industries, and we're able to eventually leverage that knowledge to open up consulting businesses to the point where now all of the big four bring in more revenue from consulting than tax or audit, sometimes than tax or audit combined for some of them. So what this all is about is then kind of going into our clients, seeing what their processes are like, finding out ways and areas where they want to improve, whether it be within their like software systems, whether it be how they manage their human capital, whether it be, their organizational structure. Maybe they're interested in mergers and acquisitions. This consulting group essentially goes in to help figure things out, to help their businesses become more efficient. And then the risk advisor group is very similar, but that's more of a like a finance focus there, more of like a capital structure, debt terms. I'm not a finance guy, but it's a much more finance focus in the risk and advisory group. So whereas tax and audit are generally looking for accounting majors, computer science, MIS, and finance majors is what the consulting and risk advisory groups are essentially looking for. But on Deloitte, obviously we have great PTO. I have more than I can use. Yeah. Yeah. Collective disconnect is the best. So from Christmas to the start of the year, and then we also do a summer disconnect the last couple of years around the 4th of July. The firm like shuts down, right? Like everyone is closed. Kind of in recognition that like everyone takes PTO during that time anyway. So like let's just all close down. Because when you go on PTO, like emails are still coming through and everything. And while I haven't had to work on vacation any more than just seeing someone sent just me an email. So I forwarded it to a member of the engagement team so that way it doesn't just sit in my inbox for a week. Someone else can start working on it, but I haven't actually worked on vacation. But the emails start coming through, work piles up. You have to catch up when you leave. When the firm is closed, there's nothing to catch up on. Like, it's great.
It's a good time, definitely.
There's more than just those 2 longer disconnects too. Like we get the Friday before Memorial Day off as well as obviously Memorial Day, so that's considered disconnect.
Yeah, nothing like
It's
coming
an
up.
extended holiday. Yeah, consider it.
Nothing-
And fun with this.
Nothing like coming up here and be like, oh yeah, the best part's times where we don't have to work.
Work-life balance, Renee, come on.
Oh yeah, of course. So yeah, like I said, more PTO than that I know what to do with. I'm actually taking a week off next week and then going on a cruise after that, and I got a ski trip planned. So I got all sorts of PTO coming up. But all the standard stuff that you'll see: medical, dental, vision, life insurance, family support. The well-being subsidy, it's an interesting one. So it's $1,000 that you get to spend on anything that you believe helps you with your well-being. That can be, from like physical well-being, whether it be like gym classes or like I do Taekwondo now, like my Thai pay through that with the well-being subsidy, or mental well-being. If you want to go skiing, anything that you believe helps you feel just better, that you can use your well-being subsidy for that. People that bought like an Apple Watch or like a
people
PS5 on
buy, like people usually play golf on it or they get new golf clubs every year. I bought a digital camera with my well-being subsidy this year. I've also bought some nice running sneakers Rich, have you got anything fun with your well-being subsidy?
I used it towards a gym membership, so.
So no.
Not really cool, but-
There's been some other subsidies that have been in and out since my time, at least with Deloitte, so definitely with Renee's. There was a hybrid commuting expense subsidy at one point, so we got about $1,000 back commuting during COVID times.
Yeah.
When you first joined the firm, there's about a $250 new hire work from home subsidy to buy monitors and things, so there's
Buy
definitely
a good mouse. Like don't buy like the cheap like $1 mouse. Your hand's gonna be on that for like hours and hours a day. Get a good one.
They have good ergonomic ones too, like my manager on my job uses one that your hands like this, supposed to keep your wrists.
Rosemary uses that one. One of our senior managers, she swears it cured her, although.
I know.
There's a lot of offers like that working for Deloitte though as well. We have a partnership with this place called Perks at Work. So there's discounts on ticket prices for, I think the coolest one I've seen is like if you go to Disney World, certain days in the year, there's discounted Deloitte tickets. Obviously Deloitte sponsors the US Open, so there was a link to get discounted tickets to the US Open.
Both tennis and golf.
Yes.
As we both can speak to, there's a tuition reimbursement program. Deloitte completely paid for my master's in tax. Like the tuition, the required fees, like the books, the whole thing. Like I didn't have to like pay a dime.
As of 3 weeks ago, I'm also a student here again, doing my master's in taxation, and Deloitte is paying for it.
But yeah, I mean, there's tons of, if you can think about it, like it's probably here. There's a reason Deloitte is frequently ranked one of like the best places to work. Is because yeah, there's a lot of work that has to get done, but there's also a lot that we do to reward you for that and try and make it as easy and as balanced as possible. Grow it every day, you know, in terms of your actual work. You're never just like, okay, here's your assignment, figure it out, right? That doesn't help you, that doesn't help us. It's in our best interest if you do well. So, I mean, obviously there's internships to help you learn. I know for sure our interns are doing the same exact work that a staff one would do. Like there's no difference in the type of work. Like you're not making paperwork, you're not getting coffee. Like I'm more likely to go get the coffee than to tell the interns like, hey, go get me coffee. You know, it's you're doing like actual work. We have the whole university. Whether you want
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one of my personal favorites. I've been there a couple times now. It's in Texas, actually, right outside of Dallas. Great facility. It's almost like a resort, basically. And what you do there is, I went there for my senior training this year, and you get taken through a whole course of different things you do throughout the day and some instruction. You get to meet people from around the country that are coming there to learn at your level. So that's what's really cool about it, is that I made so many friends by going there and just having a couple days to hang out with them and not only, you know, talk about personal things, but to learn and grow from being there and learn about my job as well. So it's cool to see your kind of your level grow together, and that's a great spot. We can go on and on about Deloitte University, I'm sure, right? You guys
got great brisket.
Yeah.
It's really something. If you have time, Google it later. It's a $300 million training facility and they're adding more to it. And basically the first floor is just half a mile of conference rooms, collaboration rooms, greenhouse rooms, just different types of ways to bring people together to work differently. And on top of that, it's just floors and floors of hotel rooms. So it's a really cool space to be in. I liked what Rich said too. I think one of the best parts of working at Deloitte, and this is probably true of a lot of other Big Four firms, seeing your class start together. Like my intern class was very close. There was about 20 something of us, and most of us are still with the firm with a few exceptions of people that went different directions. But we have all been to D together 2 or 3 times now. We see each other in the office. There's strong camaraderie. Everyone's highly motivated at Deloitte, so I think it's nice to keep around peers that are highly motivated, pushing themselves forward and also pushing you forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's almost like school, you know, you go start with your class and you progress through each level with everybody else, you know, and we've been fortunate, like Emma said, like most of my classes here, so they haven't left either. So I've been able to kind of bounce ideas off them, and, you know, we learn from each other, and it's fun to see each other, you know, when we go to DU and for every training every year. So something to look forward to, definitely.
And then their network becomes your network too. If someone joins the firm, next thing you know, I'm friends with Rene. Rene works in a different group, but someone just started in his group. That's another connection that I have now that I say hi to in the office. So it's a really collaborative space at Deloitte, no matter where you are.
Yeah, it's always important that, you know, even if you don't know something, it's always important to at least know who knows, right? Because the one thing you quickly realize at the Big Four is like you're never going to know everything because there is too much for one human being to ever know. But just knowing that an R&D credit exists and that Emma is someone you can just be like, hey, I think my client might have something with this, right? Just knowing and having that network is probably like one of the most important parts. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have a whole online tool also that literally is called Deloitte Does That, ? Because we do everything. You could probably not think of something, anything related to professional services, there is someone at Deloitte who does that. So sometimes there's even more, well, I mean, there is more than we would even know. We don't even know the things that Deloitte does because that's how big it is, but.
Like I said, there's two entire businesses, like consulting and like risk advisory. I don't even know what they do. I don't really know what they do. It's two whole businesses there. Mentorship, formal training. So whenever you start, you're always assigned a buddy and a coach. A buddy is usually someone who's like maybe TC1 or TC or staff 1, staff 2. Just someone has like the basic questions like how do I do my time? Where's the bathroom? Like someone to kind of start building that network with. And then you also have a coach. So I have a coach, and I'm also a coach to like 3 individuals, and that's more about your career path. Is this a group you want to continue to stay with? How's your performance going? Where do you see yourself going? And like, how can we get you there? So you're never ever, whether it be in a specific assignment or your whole career, you're never left on your own. There's all sorts of support that you can take advantage of to help you succeed. A whole slide on Deloitte University just because it's that cool. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, they're expanding it actually, so it's even longer than a mile.
Yeah, like we use it so much, we're building like a whole nother one right next door.
For training in a few weeks, Rene and our team is going to the Deloitte office right outside of Nashville. So we'll be there for a few days.
Yeah,
for our training.
Our NFTS national group, like we've done Orlando right outside of like Disney 1 year. I think they did like a Phoenix, Arizona once. Your new senior manager training where you're promoted to a senior manager, that training is in Las Vegas. It's funny because all of the other ones are at DU. Whenever you get promoted, your first trainings for that is at DU, but for some reason senior manager is at Las Vegas. But I feel like if they ever changed it and be like, no, we're doing DU, I feel like they would riot. Cool. Reasons to join Deloitte as if there were only 10. I don't know if any of these pop out to you. I mean, like we're not gonna lie, this is a big one, right?
Fairly complicated. Which one is your favorite?
Honestly, I like learning and development, right? Like I always like learning new things. I mean, I'm in my 3rd master's program now. I'm going for a MBA in organizational management, not at FDU, unfortunately. But yeah, I always like learning and I always like teaching. So number 4 always stands out to me.
I would say, making an impact that matters is kind of our slogan at Deloitte.
Yeah.
It sounds cliche, but every year, I don't know if you guys had mentioned this before I got here, but we do an impact day, it's called, and where everybody at the firm takes basically a collective disconnect to go volunteer at any organization or any community offering that they feel is best or they feel would like to go be a part of. So that's something that I really enjoy every year. I've done it twice now, and I've done other things on the side that were Deloitte sponsored, but I really like that about the Deloitte is that everybody's kind of pulling in the same direction, even though it's so big, right? That I really get to kind of see the grassroots of certain community efforts, and it's definitely shows, on top of everything else here. Learning every day is obviously something that I've been here for not so long, but I feel like I've learned, maybe 5 years worth of stuff in a year or 2 years. So it's definitely it's a big firm, but it's a small field. So I do want to emphasize that, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but
yeah. One thing that people sometimes say is like they felt like they got lost in like the bigness of it. Like I never felt that way. I always felt like I knew what like I needed to do, who I was working with. It always felt like a comfortable team.
Definitely. That's why my favorite's number 1 are people in our culture. I think when you hear a name like Deloitte, obviously the largest professional services firm in the world, it can be a little bit intimidating. And I definitely didn't know what to expect when I first joined. But as soon as I joined, I had such a welcoming team. everyone that works at Deloitte's really awesome. Like, I really can't say I've ever run into someone that's ever given me a problem or ever made me feel as though this organization was so overwhelming that someone from FDU wouldn't thrive there. There's awesome people everywhere. I've made a lot of friends, a lot of close relationships, especially one thing I like about our team in specifics is upper level management is very accessible to us. So if we ever have questions or ideas to run by them, there's never been a time that a partner won't speak to you.
Yeah, I know some groups, the partner is just like the guy who does the final review. You may or may not ever talk to him. Like, we see our PPMD and like talk to him and hang out with him like literally every day.
And they're very invested in our careers as well. That's what I like too. A lot of people that have progressed at Deloitte, been at Deloitte for a very long time, they want to give back and they want to see a younger generation of accountants thrive.
Yeah, our group's PPMD is my coach, right? So like,
Yeah, I feel like that's a common misconception, about like, to give you my background on it, when I was in college, like you'd always hear, oh, Big Four, you'll never see the partner or the managing director, you never work with them. It's just not the case. I mean, I sit right next to my PPMD every day, and he's always in the office. It's just, it's kind of a common misconception, so everybody's really willing to help, no matter what level you are. I've always felt that way when I first started, as a staff one. I always was able to go straight to whoever that may be, my manager, senior manager. And I'm sure you guys got the same experience. So that's something that going into it, then people would say to me, oh, why do you want to work for Big Four? And I thought that I would never get to talk to people of all different levels. I thought it would be so big that, you'd never get that experience, but it's not the case. And I feel like most people you talk to from Deloitte feel the same way. So.
Yeah, and even outside of Deloitte, like our clients are like all sizes, right, in all sorts of different industries, right? Like, we work on some like the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, some of the largest like telecom companies in the world. I also work on the biotech where the whole company is like 20 people, right? Like there's like the whole range here. Obviously audit's a little different, but I know here in tax, like there's a range of opportunities everywhere.
Absolutely.
Here's a slide where we show off how cool we are and all the awards we've won. Whoa. I think that's the last one. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously just some slides here with some resources. Like I said, audit and tax, mostly looking for accounting, advisory, accounting, MIS, computer science, analytics, and very similar for consulting, also looking for MIS, computer science, finance, analytics. Some recruiting resources. These are kind of here to help you, like the resume 101, recruiting tips, interview prep. Keep in mind, like a little hint, like this is what like Deloitte is looking for. So if you're looking to apply to Deloitte, follow these tips because this is what we're looking for. But yeah, I mean, I'll just leave that up here, but that's all we got. I mean, the rest of the session, unless anything you guys want to talk about, any questions you have. Sure.
I'd like to make a comment. I'm a Deloitte alumni.
Oh.
Deloitte for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was part of the financial advisory.
Oh, awesome.
So one of the things, camaraderie is some of my best friends are colleagues, who I have met 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He didn't want to come back?
After some age, they don't want to.
That does happen quite frequently, though. I think there's like 2 people in our group that left and like came back. Or boomerangs, we like to call them.
The camaraderie for sure. I mean, I met one of my best friends working in our team. I'm in her wedding in 2 years from now, so have met some of my people that I talk to every day work for Deloitte. Some of the best friends I've made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I've got the opportunity to work with many Deloitte, partners all over the world. And it's everywhere. It's the same.
Yeah. One of the things I like to do on vacation is always like, find where like the Deloitte office is, take a picture and then like send it to like a couple of people. It's like, literally everywhere you go, like there's a Deloitte office. If it's a big city, there's a Deloitte office.
I bring my badge just in case you have to go to the bathroom. You always know there's somewhere to go.
I did that once too, actually.
Yeah, I carry it everywhere. Same thing.
Also, we're all from the Morristown office, but there's also
Oh, yeah.
other offices in New Jersey. There's one in New York City in the 30 Rock building. I know people that have gone up there like on a weekend. They'll bring their significant other to show the views of how cool it is to be on one of the highest floors in Rockefeller Center.
Yeah, and in Jersey, we also have Princeton and Jersey City, Philadelphia, of course. So obviously all big cities, but there's small offices here and there. Long Island has a Jericho office too. Well, opportunities abound.
Oh, yeah, so many.
Well,
Can you tell us more about the recruiting? What type of universities you go to? How do you?
So we do have like recruiting specialists that generally go to different universities for some reason. Like honestly, like FDU is not a target school. Like, anyone who's tried to get Deloitte on campus, for some reason. It's always people who've been to FDU. You may have talked to Jim Goodman recently. Bob Stock usually comes with me. We're all from FDU, and literally everyone who's ever we've hired from FDU has been fantastic. So we don't know why they don't come here.
They say it's a numbers issue,
Uh,
even though the FDU students are really the cream of the crop.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think I'm pretty cool. So obviously,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, generally the process, you either apply online or you meet someone, hand over your resume. I know the process has changed. I did 2 rounds of interview. The second time was with 2 people. Rosemary was actually the one who interviewed me. Who'd you interview with? Scully?
Scully and Ann.
Nice. Ann? Oh, wow. Did you interview with someone you ended up working with?
I did not actually, no, it was a couple rounds of interviews though, I think it was 2 interviews. The first was with, the recruiting specialist, I think,
Mhm.
and, the second round was with, 2 people, and I forget who it was, one after the other, so first stacked interviews, so the first one was with, I think a senior manager, and the second one was with PPMD at that point, so it was kind of back to back when I did this, over 2 years ago now, so not sure if they've changed a little bit since then, but,
Been even further since for me.
Yeah, I think we were pretty process overall. It's kind of been overhauled in the last 2 years because I accepted my internship in spring of 2021, so over 3 years ago now. But the way they make you do it, like at this point, is if you see on the top of this slide, the Explore Deloitte, that's going to take you to the Explore Your Fit tool. And after a brief survey of when you're graduating, how many credits you'll have upon graduation, if you have 150 to start taking the CPA exam, that will put you into different categories based on what you're looking for. If you would be looking for full-time employment or for an internship. I also do just want to say, I think this is important. I know a lot of people in this room are a little bit later in their college career, but when I was applying to internships 5-6 years ago now, there was not so much Big Four, especially Deloitte, if you were younger in your college career, earlier in your years. But now we have this cool program called the Discovery Internship, where you actually get to go be an intern at Deloitte for 4 weeks, you do tax, and for 4 weeks you do audit. So you get to see both sides. And I think that's a super unique opportunity. Jack, I think you were a Discovery intern, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was not a thing when I was in college, but I think that's really awesome. And that's a great way to get your foot in the door at a big firm, especially like ours. So I think there are more opportunities for earlier on in your college career now at Deloitte.
Yeah, I remember for me, if you weren't at least about to be a senior, there was nothing for you really.
Mhm.
So there's
Same.
more opportunities now.
So for that discovery program, the 4 weeks tax, 4 weeks audit, are they doing for the tax, would they be doing what a staff would do, or is it a little
So the way it's broken out for tax, at least, yes and no. I actually was this last summer, I was helping out with a cohort of interns, and every week, basically you spent a few days in each service line. So all these service lines that we had up before, when you're in tax, you would spend 4 days shadowing someone from GI3, which is our group. So you weren't necessarily doing the work yourself, but you were watching us do the work and really quickly brought onto our team and then passed on to another team. So you see a lot in those 8 weeks, but I think that's really awesome because one thing that I always tell accounting students is make sure you try different things in your internships. I was able, through my internships, I did basically compliance work at Cohen Resnick. So I already knew what corporate taxation looked like on a team like that. I did state tax at BASF. So a lot of students don't get to do multiple different types of tax. When you're in this program, it's consolidated and you get to see a little bit of everything before you make a final decision for your next internship or for full-time employment. But I don't know how the audit discovery works.
Yeah, it's similar to that. I mean, I think what they do is they rotate you through different industries, so you get to see how that works. I mean, because there's not as many, it's not as disaggregated, I guess, as tax at that point. But yeah, I haven't spoken to discovery interns themselves, but obviously I've spoken with other interns, and that's generally how they do it. Is that you'll see different industries, so you'll get to see it's really the same process, but there's different goals. And for example, in my industry, in the aerospace and defense industry, we're not as focused on certain topics or certain areas of the financial statements, or that you may be more focused on in an oil and gas industry, right, or something like that. So I think that's something that's come about. I think it's fairly new, discovery interns, right? So
Yeah.
that, I know when I was in your shoes, I was always thinking like, should I do audit? Should I do tax? I didn't really have the experience. And then ultimately I did get that experience on both sides, but the fact that we're offering it all in one is something that I would encourage all of you to definitely take a look into, because it definitely helps. And, you know, I do want to emphasize too, though, that Deloitte, even if you start your full-time career in audit or tax, they're very open to you switching careers or switching industries, switching jobs, teams. That's just what comes with working for a company like that and work for a bigger company. And they're very open to that, as long as, you know, whatever it is that you want to do and what you want to pursue. So I think that's mainly the case for every area at Deloitte.
Yeah, I mean, what we want is for you to have a great career at Deloitte. We'd much rather lose you to a different like team or like a different group as opposed to lose you to a different firm. And we just want to give you the resources to have the career that you want to have. You may have met like Bob Stock. He comes with me sometimes. He started in audit and he was in audit for like 10 years and made the move to tax, and he's been in tax ever since. So, you know, we want to give you the tools to just take your career the way you want to take it. We don't want to just be like, okay, we hired you into this group and you're going to be here until you retire or leave, right? No one's happy then.
It's an investment. One of our taglines in tax is invest, win, grow, one of our Deloitte sayings, but really the investment that the firm is making in interns and in young staff, even early senior, early managers, is huge. We showed you all the different subsidies that we get, the disconnects, the $300 million training facility that's building on more and more. There's so much that is invested into young professionals that they want to do as much as they can to keep you here and keep you happy and successful.
The CPA exam, obviously, you know, all of your materials are given to you through Becker. If you don't want to use Becker, you can pay for another one and the firm reimburses you. You do get Becker for free. I have to say, Becker is technically the best one, but I used Roger and I loved it. Yeah,
I use Roger a lot.
he was more fun. He was entertaining.
He
You know?
was,
Yeah,
I thought
you know, I actually enjoyed like, oh, like doing the video lectures was actually entertaining.
Actually, who came over? What's his name? Peter Olinto. Yes, he came over to Roger. So
There you go.
I guess he liked it better. But is anybody planning on taking a CPA in this room, or you guys? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they pay for all the expenses, taking the exam, sitting for it, registering.
Up to 4 times. We're not paying for fails. Just a little disclaimer.
Yeah.
Fails.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the only catch that comes with it, but
Depending on how fast you're able to do it, I think within 1 year there is a bonus. You know, that's pretty good. Is 3,000?
It's 5. So if you
Five,
pass
yeah.
within your first year of full-time start, you get a $5,000 bonus, and within your second year of full-time start, it's a $3,000 bonus.
Which just kind of just makes the CPA like immediately worth it. So if you do it, here's $5,000. Great, I'm going on vacation right now.
yeah.
I know a bunch of people that did it during their grad year too, so they had it before they even started at the firm, and on day 1 they got that $5,000 bonus and a few other like signing incentives here. So their first check was like insanely large.
Yeah. Yeah, I had started, I had 2 already done, so I just needed to get 2 within a year, and it was great. I still remember like the moment when I like passed my CPA exam, like specifically what room I was in, like on the phone with my girlfriend, like, I passed, I did it. So, that's the #1 advice. The sooner you do the CPA exam, the better. If I'm not the first person if I'm the first person you've heard this from, like, I'm certainly not the last. More work responsibilities will get thrown your way. More life responsibilities will get thrown your way. The sooner you do it, the easier it is, the better.
Can't emphasize that enough, definitely. You know, I heard it when I was sitting in your chairs, and it's definitely something, you know, when you're in the school mode and before you're going to start a full-time job, just keep it going, you know, study, knock them out, and it'll be a lot easier for you, and there'll be a lot more incentive and different rewards that will come of it. So, and if we can speak to that. So it's definitely getting started is getting ahead in my mind.
Any other questions people have?
Yeah, so for the busy season, usually how many billable hours do you have the minimum to complete?
That's the fun question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every group is a little different. I know in our group, we don't have as intense of a busy season, but we also don't have as slow season. So, I mean, a normal day for me is in the office at 9, leave at 7. That's like a normal day. And then, you know, when it's busy season, it can easily hit 60, 65 when it's busy, and I'll be under 40 when it's like super slow.
How did
Auditing, yeah, I would say,
I think your
very
busy,
busy.
your busy season is probably the most intense of any
Yeah.
accountant.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it is intense, it depends on what team you're on though, so, 55 is the minimum point, but it does get, I was up to 60.
If you hit the minimum, if you're only doing the minimum.
Yeah, you're doing more than that, but it's not for a very long period of time,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like you're trapped in any way or anything. You're getting work done, I could, for example,